we talked about last week was the story about how Brett Favre and others got money from the from the state of Mississippi through the federal government, which was intended for welfare benefits. So intended to be given to people who need food, shelter, take care of their kids. But instead, they figured out how to take that money and give it to Brett Favre. Well, apparently, former Governor Phil Bryant helped Brett Favre secure welfare funding for USM Volleyball Stadium tax reveal. So apparently, the former governor, and now he's being questioned about this, actually supported these dollars from Mississippi going to Brett Favre and others. And here we start. It says text messages entered Monday into the state's ongoing civil lawsuit over the welfare scandal reveal that former Governor Phil Bryant pushed to make NFL legend Brett Favre's volleyball idea a reality. The text showed that then Governor even guided Favre on how to write a funding proposal so that it could be accepted by the Mississippi Department of Human Services. Even after Bryant ousted the former welfare agency director John Davis for suspected fraud, and it says part of his text was just left Brett Favre. Bryant texts nonprofit founder Nancy New in July of 2019, within weeks of Davis's departure. Can we help him with this project? We should meet soon to see how I can make sure we keep your projects on course. And so later on, Bryant assured him when Favre asked Bryant how was the new agency director might affect their plans to fund the volleyball stadium, Bryant assured him, "I will handle that. Long story, but had to make a change. But I will call Nancy and see what it will take," according to the filing in a text Favre forwarded to New. So as Mississippi is always burning, this is the former governor, but Jackson still had its water crisis, as in everybody knew even during that time that the pipes were, again, filled with lead, that the city itself was starving for resources as a city from the state, again, the capital of the state where the state government meets every day. Instead of focusing on that business, the governor of Mississippi was in his private conversations with Brett Favre, trying to figure out how to divert cash, state money, to a former NFL football player because he was from Mississippi.
And this is for the construction of a volleyball facility where Brett Favre's daughter was actually part of the volleyball program. And I'm like, Brett Favre didn't have $5 million in his pocket? Like, why you got to come to the state of Mississippi and ask for this money? And shout out to Mississippi Today, by the way, the independent media outlet there in Mississippi. They reported this months ago. I'm glad to see that this is broken as a national story, because I remember seeing this, like, seriously, like at least 6 months ago about Brett Favre. Maybe this was the similar deal, but I thought that he had taken a separate amount of money. Maybe this was the $1.1 million that the state of Mississippi paid Brett Favre to voice some radio ads, in which the radio ads never got recorded. And I think in some reporting that I've seen, Favre actually paid the money back. But even still, the fact that they had millions here, hundreds of thousands there to give away at per request of Brett Favre. Meanwhile, poor Mississippians struggle, as you said, not only with not having access to clean water, but people who receive, public assistance need housing, they need food, they need clothing, they need the everyday stuff that humans need in order to survive. And the fact that this money was there, just sitting there for Brett Favre, come out $5 million just sitting there for Brett Favre, just waiting. There was no other purpose for that $5 million. That they were just waiting for Brett Favre to come ask for that $5 million. Like, it was insanity.
No, you're right. Brett Favre has the ability. He could access former NFL players to do their own GoFundMe. He could have thrown fundraisers. There's so many other ways in which he could have raised this money. But the entitlement of him turning to the state of Mississippi and them deciding that they're going to take, where can we get this money from? Let's not do a private sector fundraiser ourselves if we think this is so important, which of course it wasn't. And it's like, no, no. Well, here's this money sitting here, not going to any good use whatsoever. Kids, families, like you said, paying for clothes and food. Let's take this money and divert it to an NFL football player, former NFL football player, because you said, like, because his daughter is on the team, or because we want to keep him happy, or because we're friends with him, because he invites us to games, or he talks about the old days when he was playing for the Green Bay Packers, and we feel so empowered, or it's so great for us to sign up next to him. There's no reason whatsoever. They all should go to jail. They should all go to jail for several reasons. But they all should be doing some time for this type of nonsense where they literally took money out of their hand. This is nothing but fraud. They took money which was intended for a particular purpose. And here again, they'll bend the rules. This investigation, will it lead to jail time? Is it going to lead to indictments? All it's going to do is say, like, hey, here's a fine. Don't do it again. Here's a small fine. Don't do it again, right? And they won't have to go on the GoFundMe to pay it either. So this just shows the nonsense, the entitlement, and of course the racism, right? Said that you're going to take money out of poor people's hands and put it into the hands of a football player, and give him money for speaking fees and the rest of it. It's ridiculous, though.
And, the way, I mean, I know that this story is being covered nationally now. Like I said, this story kind of broke, shout out to Mississippi Today. Again, they broke this several months ago. But I'm just sort of taken back several months in my head of NBC National News and ABC News and all of these national news outlets reporting about these shoplifting rings, right, that are terrorizing the retail industry. Oh my God, these group of 10 and 15 people came in so coordinated and they stole $100,000 worth of merchandise. What are we going to do about that? Law enforcement, right? Meanwhile, here come the whites. Here come the connected whites. $5 million stole like that, just by a few text messages. They didn't have to coordinate nobody's ride. Nobody had to figure out how they was going to stuff all the Nordstrom's merchandise down their pants. No, the white folks made a couple phone calls, sent a couple texts, stole $5 million. Boom, boom.
That's right.
The best
No,
people.
you're right.
The best.
That's right. No national coverage. No, the media, like, no jokes. So I remember Al Sharpton joking about folks stealing out of the Dwayne Reed and all the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
None of that adds up to the resources that this dude took, just like that,
Just
with
like
the help of the state, just like that. You know what I'm saying? He cleared out the Dwayne Reed. He cleared out the Target, all that merchandise. No back and forth about it.
Nope.
They just mad they got caught. That's the big thing.
And law enforcement, hold on, come out. Where's the law enforcement? Because we need law enforcement to make sure that nobody steals out Dwayne Reed and out of Nordstrom's and out of Target. We got to have more law enforcement. We got to step up the law enforcement. If it's about dollar amount, what's up, law enforcement? $5 million just got stole by of your former governor and the nonprofit director. It's, again, not shocking to me that all the people involved in this are white. And the lady who was the head of the nonprofit, whatever, white lady, which kind of reinforces what all my people who work in nonprofit sectors always talking about, is that don't you trust them white people working in nonprofits, because they will still. I mean, that's not a blanket statement. Sorry to anybody. I might have offended.
It's close enough to the truth.
They will steal. Woo, the white folks be stealing. Thank you for that.
Luckily, we have Black elected officials who, of course, are on our side and would never take from the public coffers